All right, time for us to start with the session. So first of all, thanks everyone for joining this session. This is your host Ashutosh once again bringing you another interesting topic on happy hours of coaching, the 30-80 perception. This is a very interesting topic. I mean, this is not a theory. This is not something which is theoretically there, or this is something which I have practically experienced. What I call as the 30-80 perception. I mean, people call it as the 30-80 rule, but this is the 30-80 perception what we have, right? So just wanted to check quickly that am I audible to all of you? Just wanted to quickly check on that before we move ahead. If I'm audible. Okay, thank you. Thank you for confirming that. And let us deep dive into today's session. Let's try to understand what is this 30-80. So let us deep dive into the 30-80 perception. What exactly is 30-80 perception all about? And what is the significance of this 30-80 perception? Okay, so as Scrum Masters, right? As Scrum Masters, change agents, agile leaders, right? We are very many times questioned about what is the contribution we make to a Scrum team, right? Or to our transformation. So many times when we go into an agile coaching engagement, we get into that mode where they say that, okay, what is the contribution you have made, right? What exactly is the time factor you are spending, right? I'm sure you would have got these questions. Many of these questions would have come to you. Many of these questions you would have been challenged, right? That, okay, now tell me, what does a Scrum Master do, right? I mean, what is he or she supposed to do in a sprint? And I have tried to label it into what we call as the 30-80 perception. So what is 80? I'll explain what is 30, what is 80 in a moment from now. But before that, a quick introduction about those of you who don't know me. This is Ashutosh Bhattodekar, working as an enterprise agile coach, a trainer, a consultant, and a coach. I regularly conduct sessions like this to help people understand what are the industry trends, what is the thought process in industry around the role of an agile coach, Scrum Master. In case you're connected with me on LinkedIn, you know who am I, but those of you who are still interested to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I also have a YouTube channel where I have a lot of interesting videos around it. And also there's a LinkedIn group which I'm running now. So in case anyone is interested to connect on those two platforms, I'm sharing the links with all of you. Feel free to connect on those two platforms, the LinkedIn group and the YouTube channel, which has got around 70 plus videos. Do subscribe if you are interested in learning more about agile. So that's about me. So let me now deep dive into the topic. What exactly is this 30-80 perception? So so when I was playing a role of a Scrum Master, we had a 2-week sprint. I'm just giving some background information about this engagement. So this was a 2-week sprint which was running, and 2 weeks means I think we all know 10 days, 10 into 8, 80 hours. So that 80 comes from that 80 hours which is there in a sprint. So that comes from that 80 hours, which is a time which is or the capacity of a Scrum Master, right? So this was a question which was asked to me by my manager that time. How much time do you think you spend in a 2-week sprint? Any idea? I mean, assuming that a 2-week sprint is 80 hours, what do you think is the answer for this question? Like if someone asks you in your real agile transformation, whether you're playing a role of a Scrum Master or an agile coach, that how much time do you think you as a coach or you as a Scrum Master is spending in a 2-week sprint? What will be your answer? Can anyone tell me? I mean, you can type in the answer in the chat box, or feel free to type in a number what you think would be the right answer. Yeah, anyone? Yeah, please go ahead and type in an answer there. I'll wait for your answers before I move ahead. How much time does a Scrum Master spend in a 2-week sprint? Is it 30 hours? Is it full 80 hours? Is it more than 80 hours? It can be more than 80 hours also, right? It can be 20 hours. Okay. So I'm getting some answers here. I also see on LinkedIn people have posted. Yeah, thanks for posting that on LinkedIn also. Yeah, the group in Zoom, if you can put it. Okay, for mature teams it will be less. Okay, so for new teams it will be more than 80 hours. For mature teams it will be less. So I also gave a same answer, by the way. I told my manager that time that, see, first of all, we have just started the transformation journey. You cannot expect me to spend I mean, you cannot expect that I'm spending less time in a sprint. Definitely there's a full dedication from my side, and I'm working towards it. And in fact, I end up spending, I end up staying initially, as I said, these were the early days of the transformation. I told her that it was actually around 75, 80 hours. And this statement was immediately challenged. This statement was immediately challenged by my manager. Okay, so exactly same answer I gave, right? Since it's a new transformation, it is more than 80 hours if you're considering 8 hours as a day, and 80 hours multiplied by 10 as equal to 80. This estimate was immediately challenged. I said, okay, tell me, so how much do you think I'm spending? And the answer came was, you will be shocked to know the answer. I mean, this is how our leadership actually looks at an agile transformation, thinks from that perspective. Okay, the number which came out was not even 30. The manager tried to prove me that I am spending only 24.5 hours out of 80 hours with the Scrum team. Okay, so this is the detailed statistics what came to me. Okay, this was thrown back to me that, see, you work in a sprint planning meeting, right? Sprint planning meeting is 4 hours on the first day of the sprint, which is 240 minutes. Sprint review, it's 2 hours, right? I give you 2 hours for preparing for it, so 4 hours. Okay, so 2 hours is the actual meeting, sprint review meeting. You attend that, I know. 2 hours for preparation. Sprint retrospective, okay, I give you another 2 hours for preparation and 2 hours for the meeting. Do I know that it's only a 1 hour meeting? Daily Scrum, 15 minutes max, 15 into 10, 150. Okay, impediment removal, you could be working daily 1 hour a day, right? So that comes to 600 minutes. So that total comes out to be 24.5 hours. And as if I'm asking for some favor or gratis, the manager told me that I give you 6 hours extra. Chalo, take 6 hours extra more. So you're not spending more than 30 hours on the sprint activities, and you're a full-time Scrum Master. Okay, I'm not going into the debate whether a full-time Scrum Master is required or a part-time Scrum Master is required. The challenging statement was that, that if it was a part-time Scrum Master, I would have still gone ahead with this number. But now you justify your hours to me. Has anyone faced this situation by any chance? Just out of curiosity, I'm asking. Have you faced this situation like this in your career, that where you are challenged that as a Scrum Master, what exactly you are doing? What is the contribution to the Scrum team? I don't know if anyone has faced such a hard situation. Obviously, those were my early days as a Scrum Master. Those were my days. Those were my days where even I was trying to learn, and this really put me on the back foot. This data which was thrown at me, it really put me on a back foot. Oh my God, is this really what I'm doing? So where exactly is my time getting wasted? I went on to auditing my lunchtime, to be very honest. And then I realized, see, this is a problem which is there in every organization, right? Especially when it is new to the transformation. Any organization which is new to the transformation, when it starts the transformation, immediately such numbers will come out in first 3 to 4 weeks. Believe me, especially if it is a greenfield project where you're doing the entire transformation from ground zero to bring about a culture of agility in the organization. This is a problem which you will find in every organization, right? So basically what I figured out was that the contribution, the contribution which was being valued was 30 out of 80, and which is where this 30-80 perception topic came to my mind. All right. So the contribution which they were valuing was only 30 out of 80 hours. So obviously dejected, I went back and then I tried to understand, okay, what exactly I'm doing, what is it that I should be doing, what is it that I should not be doing, right? So that is what I tried to identify as a part of the detailed job analysis which I was trying to do, right? So this is the problem statement. This is the problem statement in front of us, right? That as Scrum Masters, many times we are challenged, and with the fact that the challenge is that you end up working only around 30 hours in a sprint, let's say. And I have tried to make it more compartmentalized, because I didn't go at a day level. I mean, I was fortunate enough that this manager did not go at a day level, because I don't know what numbers she would have thrown at me if I would have gone at a day level, right? So obviously she would have probably said that you work only probably 15 minutes for a daily scrum on a Wednesday. I mean, they could have given such interesting, fascinating numbers in front of me. Okay. Yeah. So actually that 6 hours she included of backlog refinement. I mean, again, I was not in a mood of negotiation. It is not a bill which you're trying to settle with a hotel or with a vendor, right? What challenged me was that, okay, so as a scrum master, is this the contribution which I'm making to the team? Is this really the contribution which I should be making to the team? And which actually took me back to the basic definition of a scrum master, right? And of course, this definition has evolved. This incident happened around 5-6 years back, much before the pandemic was in place. I don't know what would have happened if we were working from home at that point in time and a pandemic would have set in. I don't know what perception this would have created, but this incident happened much before the pandemic actually hit all of us. So obviously, some important information about the role of a scrum master. I think we all are aware about this definition. As per the latest Scrum guide, what we say is Scrum masters are true leaders, right? Scrum masters are true leaders. I mean, some theoretical angle to it. That Scrum masters are the true leaders which are there in a transformation, is what we call, right? That is what we say as a Scrum master, what we say. These are the true leaders which exist. And some examples of true leaders I have tried to put in there. Someone who's accountable for removing impediments, someone who protects the team and keeps them focused at hand. And as we all know, Scrum Master is not exactly a team leader or a project manager, but acts as a buffer between the team and any distracting influences. So there are going to be a lot of distracting influences which come in the way, where the Scrum Master plays a very, very crucial role. Now, if you look at this definition also, right? I mean, traditionally, when you try to, again, I'm not saying that you have to justify hours, but why that perception gets built up is that this is something which is easily accountable. The first statement is easily accountable from an hours perspective. It is very difficult to quantify the numbers of this, right? I mean, bringing about a coaching culture, protecting the team. It is very difficult to quantify those numbers. So what I would like to say here is, first of all, that calculation itself is wrong. Okay, the way you're calculating that, okay, how much you're occupied, that predominantly resonates a command and a control mindset. It represents the theory X. I think we all know theory X and theory Y, right? Theory X managers, this is the famous Douglas McGregor theory. Theory X says that managers are going to micromanage you. Okay, so they're going to micromanage you. There's a lack of trust, or there's always a doubt in the minds of what the team members are doing. And theory Y is all about empowerment, right? So basically, when you bring out an Excel sheet like this, when you bring about an Excel sheet like this, which tells you that, okay, this is what you have been doing, I have been observing you closely, it actually resonates a theory X syndrome, which is there, right? And I think that is one of the first first thing which we need to attack as leaders, right? As coaches and leaders. This is a mindset which involves a change, right? I mean, yes, forget the Scrum team, forget the burn down charts and all. This is where the culture is coming in the way, or this is where the mindset is coming in the way, where, I mean, on just paper, we are saying that we would like to transform our working into an agile way of working, but our thinking patterns, our thought processes, our actions on the ground are clearly, I would say, the traditional command and control mindsets which are there. Right. So moving ahead, yeah, I think we all know this theoretical definitions. I'm not going into it, but what I did was I went back and looked at these definitions. Obviously, from a role perspective, if you look at the Scrum Guide also, it talks about 3 actions which a Scrum Master takes. The Scrum Master interacts with the team, and by interacting the team, we don't only mean the daily Scrum. Okay, we are not just talking about the 15-minute daily Scrum meeting. Interaction is throughout the day. Okay, interaction is throughout the day. It is not also about setting up a calendar invite for a retrospective or for a sprint review or for a sprint planning meeting. That interaction, the Scrum Master's interaction with the team, One major portion of that is this, and I'll talk about this portion in detail as we go along. Coaching the teams to be self-organized, bringing about that broken comb model or the T-shaped functionality. So that's one of the crucial aspect of the interaction of the Scrum Master with the team, and I'll talk about it in detail as we go along. Yes, there are other things like impediment removal, ensuring that the Scrum event takes place, making sure that the team is creating high value increments which can be demonstrated in a sprint review and which meets the DOD or the definition of done. So definitely those are the things which the Scrum Master is responsible for, but the coaching element is a vital element what we have. The second is the interaction of the Scrum Master with the product owner. Remember, the Scrum Master is the coach to the product owner. Many times we forget that. Many times we create a situation like this where the product owner is here, the Scrum Master is here. No, it is not a reporting relationship. It is this. It is this relationship what we have. The Scrum Master actually is the coach to the product owner. The Scrum Master has to help the product owner identify that what could be the prioritization techniques which could be used, how a backlog needs to be refined, how should the product goal be defined, right? So that is one of the key roles of a Scrum Master. When he or she interacts with the product owner, the Scrum Master has to identify the techniques from a backlog identification, backlog management, the product goal definition. All those things will be the roles and responsibilities of a Scrum Master. And the third most important role of a Scrum Master which is coming in, it is coaching the organization and the leadership. Okay, this is as per the Scrum Guide. All this information is not my information. It has been picked up from the official Scrum Guide, which the latest version of it is 2020 November. If you look at this Scrum Guide, it clearly talks about the three key roles which a Scrum Master plays. The Scrum Master coaching the team, that is the one role which you have. The Scrum Master coaching the product owner, the Scrum Master coaching the organization. Now, again, I'm tempted to go back to that Excel sheet once again. If you look at it, this Excel sheet which was thrown at me, it just talks one aspect of the Scrum Master role. It does not take into account me coaching the product owner, me coaching the organization, which is where those numbers are fishy numbers, right? It's not that I'm trying to defend those numbers, but those numbers are fishy primarily because this just represents one part of the role of a Scrum Master. The data which shows is a traditional data of a manager working with the team. I mean, if you look at it, even if I was working as a team lead in that engagement, probably the same numbers would have come because I was just doing the team lead activities. But it fails, this data fails to take into account the other important aspects or the dimensions of the role of a Scrum Master, which is coaching the product owner and coaching the organization. So definitely those are the elements which are definitely missing in that particular data, right? And obviously that is something which we have to answer. So tomorrow, if someone catches us and asks us, okay, tell me what do you do in a day, or what are the key activities as a Scrum Master you do? I think we got the context, right? That it is not just about coaching the teams. It is about coaching the organization, coaching the product owner. And plus there are many other dimensions about which I will be talking in next few slides. So in next few slides, I'll talk about some other aspects of the role of a Scrum Master and how the Scrum Master actually ends up working more than what is there, right? I mean, in fact, many times, as you rightly said, if it is a new transformation, I might end up spending more than the allocated capacity or more than the available capacity for me. All right, moving ahead. So let us try to understand some of the important things or some additional things which the Scrum Master do. So in the next few slides, I'm going to talk about few additional things. I'm not going to talk about burn down chart, that the Scrum Master should observe the burn down chart. I'm not going to talk about the Scrum Master should facilitate a daily Scrum event. But apart from these 30 hours, which is told to me, what all the other things I need to do, or what are the other things I actually do, not I need to do, what else I actually am doing in a sprint. So one of the important things as a Scrum Master is you have to observe team dynamics. Now, what do we mean by observing team dynamics? You need to actually have your eyes and ears open when you're sitting with the team in that workout area. You have to clearly see what are the patterns the teams are doing, right? And believe me, even when you're continuing your work, you can actually observe your team. So you have to actively listen. Active listening means keep your ears open. You might be staring at a screen like this, but my ears are open as to what's happening around me, right? How are the team members talking to each other? Is there a culture of respect amongst the team member? Are they actually swarming together to solve a problem, or is it a team which is actually more into a blame game kind of a thing? So that's the first thing about team dynamics. The second important aspect is you have to do a lot of notes. You have to capture a lot of notes. One thing I always tell my team is, or any prospective coaches, you need to have a coaching diary. You need to have your coaching diary where you capture everything related to your notes, right? Whatever you're observing, whatever you're looking at, you have to capture that information on a day by day basis, that this is what I observed today. So coach's diary is a very, very important, I would say, tool which you require. And believe me, the pen and the pencil one works better than a digital one. You can also use OneNote for it, but a pen and a pencil works, at least for me, it works better than the digital notes which are there. You have to be a keen observer, right? Observe things. You don't have to react to everything which is happening, but even small things in your team will give you a good insight. Like, for example, let's say the team members are planning to go out for lunch. The way they're conversing with each other, that also will give you a good insight about which level of Tuckman's hierarchy the team is. Are they in the forming stage, norming stage, performing stage? It'll give you a good idea about where exactly your team resides. And last but not the least, you need to have conversations apart from project, right? Again, you need to have that conversations with the team when you're observing the team dynamics. So that is the number one thing which, as a Scrum Master, I'm doing when I'm sitting in a team. These are the some of the important elements I'm doing from a team dynamics perspective. Let us go to the second point. Let us go to the second important point. Make sure that you have a one-on-one with all the team members set up at least once during the sprint. And again, I'm not saying that it has to be a 1 hour one-on-one. No, it can be a 20-minute sync up. You can just have a 20-minute sync up, not even half an hour I'm recommending. Just have a calendar in place where you meet all the team members one-on-one at least 20 minutes. As we all know, right, Scrum team is in single digits, right? Our Scrum teams usually are smaller. They are in single digit. So have a one-on-one sync up with each team member individually. This will give you, believe me, a lot of insights into what's happening in the engagement, right? It will help you identify issues early, any bottlenecks or roadblocks. It will help you identify very early. It is also an opportunity for you to do a one-on-one coaching with the team member, right? So that's also something which is very, very interesting. By the way, in fact, not even 20 minutes. You can even set up for 15 minutes, just like a daily Scrum event. You can have a one-on-one sync meeting with every team member for just 15 minutes is what I would recommend, right? So that's another thing what we do, right? So one-on-one, you can help identify the issues early, one-to-one coaching, right? Identify any early trends, any disconnects in the team. If team members are vocal, they will talk about, they will give you those enough indications, right? The early trends, it will help you identify those early trends. And last but not the least, it's again a form of conversation. The team members feel that, yes, at least the Scrum Master is talking with us. The Scrum Master is caring about us. At least that feeling would be given to the team member. So definitely this is, and especially if your team is new, okay, maybe you have been the Scrum Master for, let us say, 1 or 2 releases, then probably you might want to skip this, okay, because this might become the usual, boredom might set in. But especially if you're starting afresh on a team as a Scrum Master, I would strongly recommend to have a one-on-one sync up meeting with each team member. And let's say if your transformation is old, you have been a Scrum Master for, let us say, 2 or 3 releases, you can do it alternate sprint. So 3 members in the current sprint, you will have a one-on-one. Then in the next sprint, you will have a one-on-one with the other 3 members. That also you can do it. I mean, because see, if you observe these things, these are some things which are not mentioned in the Scrum guide. These are practical insights what I'm giving you from my experience, what has worked, what has not worked, right? You will never see this recommendation coming in from a Scrum guide, but this is what I am telling you from my experience, that what worked for me was this kind of a setup. And again, you don't have to overwhelm them with 30 minutes. One thing I have seen very interestingly, if you set up a meeting for 1 hour, right, no one turns up. If you set up a meeting for 30 minutes, they might turn up for once or twice and then they will become lazy. But if you set up for 15 minutes meeting, right, it becomes some chai pe charcha, or it becomes like a coffee time conversation, and people do come for it. Okay, so many of these meetings I used to align with the coffee break. I used to actually align with the coffee break. Let's go for a coffee or a tea break and let's discuss, right? You need not have it in a formal setting. You can have it in a coffee break kind of a setting with the team members. So that's the advantage, so that they also don't get a feeling that you know what, someone is eating my time. Okay, someone is actually eating my time of my busy schedule. Okay, so this is one thing you can do. Okay, what else? What else can we do apart from what the Scrum Guide prescribes? Okay, researching. Believe me, this is where most of your time will go. As a Scrum Master, as an Agile coach, you have to read a lot. Believe me, your time has to go into reading. If you're not reading, you're not learning. I always believe that. Okay, so try to read at least one good book every month. I mean, to start with, at least one book every month is what is required to be read, plus some blogs, plus some articles, thought leadership, I would say reviews. Okay, so those are the things what you should be doing. So a lot of researching needs to be done as a Scrum Master, and believe me, this you can justify to your leadership team why it is required. Okay, why you have to read so much, right? You always will get new ideas, new thought process, new ideas for innovating, new ideas for conducting retrospectives. You will come to know new tools and techniques, which techniques can be applied, which techniques can be experimented, right? So all those things you will come to know from a researching perspective. The more you read, the more enriched you become, the more faster you grow in the organization. I'm a firm believer of that, and it will give you a lot of ideas. It will give you a lot of ideas. You can try out some crazy ideas. It will give you some lot of things which actually can be worked on, right? So that comes in as a part of your researching activity. So that is nothing but researching. So a lot of time, I would say at least 25 to 30% of the time you can actually spend, you need to spend on researching. You need to spend on researching. You need to spend on the fact that you have to learn new things. Okay, so that comes in as a part of the researching activities. And when I say researching, obviously it is about your current role, right? As a Scrum Master, as an Agile coach, books on, there are a lot of books, right, on user story creation, story maps. I mean, you name it and there's a book on everything, right? Emotional intelligence. So the list is huge. Okay, create our own backlog of yours. Okay, rather than me recommending something, create your own backlog, which will help you in this journey. Okay, the next pointer. The next pointer, again, this is something which none of the books will tell you. Okay, again, this is coming from my practical experience, that what else is the Scrum Master is doing in the sprint. Yeah, let us see the next picture. Yeah, what is this? Any idea what is this picture talking about? Any guesses on this picture? What exactly is this picture talking about? Matrix. Okay, yeah, I was expecting that, but not the usual matrix. Okay, I'm not talking about burn down chart, burn up charts, velocity, etc. What I'm talking here is that so as a professional, right, as a professional who's very stressed out, do I visit the doctor when there's a problem, or do I do a regular checkup? Obviously, as far as I'm concerned, I do a regular checkup. All right, it's not that I'm only ill and then I go to a doctor. So I do a regular BP check, a blood sugar level check. That is a part and parcel of the way where I am working, right? So similarly, in your project, in your engagement, you have to run these checks at periodic level, even whether the company demands or whether the company does not demand. Okay, it's irrespective of the fact. So even if I'm not sick, I still have to go to the doctor. Okay, so that is what we need to do, right? I mean, run agile assessment at periodic level. So this will give you a deep insight into where the team's maturity is, which areas they are stronger, in which areas they are weaker, It will give you definitely an insight into this. It will give you some qualitative insights. It will give you some quantitative insights. It will give you some kind of a tool. I mean, it will give you some kind of a backlog that, okay, these are the areas where the team is struggling. These are the areas where the team is doing really well, right? So those are the insights. Those are the critical insights we will get if we actually do this agile assessments, right? If we do these agile assessments at periodic intervals, and again, I'm repeating, you don't have to wait for your organization to tell you, right? You can always customize an agile assessment. You can do it basically an agile assessment, and you can move ahead and go and do it, right? You don't have to wait. Okay, you don't have to wait for someone to tell you that this is an agile assessment which you will have to do. All right, so I have covered some very pertinent points. Just a quick recap so far. So what I've talked about is that as a coach, you have to observe the team dynamics. You have to have a one-to-one sync-up meeting with each team member. That is about the first 2 pointers. Then a lot of activity has to go into researching, right? And then measuring agile assessment or running agile assessment at periodic level. So those are the things what I have talked about as a part of this roles and responsibilities of a Scrum Master. And this is something in addition to what any guidebook which prescribes. Okay, so this is what so we are at the midpoint of the session. Just wanted to let you that yes, I mean, I do have a one-on-one coaching session option also available. So this is more like a commercial break right now before I reveal the other things what you should be doing. So if anyone is interested in knowing about this one-on-one coaching session, do connect with me. I have 2 options available: a 12-hour one-on-one coaching option to know more such practical tips, real-time case studies, help you prepare for interviews, and of course any conference submission support which is needed. And if you want to know more about this session, you can watch this video. There's a video link which I've shared which talks about this 12-hour and a 24-hour session. What exactly are these 2 one-on-one coaching sessions which I conduct and help people to grow in their career. Do feel free to connect with me if you want more details at this number. So I'm also sharing my number with all of you. This is my WhatsApp number. Feel free to connect with me after the session. We can talk one-on-one around this. Right now, I don't want to take the time of this forum here, but in case anyone is interested to learn more about such techniques, real-time practical application of the real industry case studies, how a Scrum project is run from day 1 to the end of the release, or what are the scaling frameworks, do reach out to me one-on-one. And we have 2 options, as I said. One is a 12-hour one-on-one coaching option, and another one is a 24 hours one-on-one coaching option. Each session is for 2 hours, right? So it's a focused, it's not a session where you will find multiple people. It's a one-on-one session which you will have with me. All right. Yeah, moving ahead on that. Okay, so few more tips to make our role much more juicier, much more exciting. So few more tips around it. One important thing as a Scrum Master is I need to connect with my peer Scrum Masters. Okay, and we have tried this, by the way. So when retrospectives, we used to have a peer retrospective, which means I used to facilitate the retrospective of Team B, rather than the Scrum Master of Team B facilitating the retrospective of his team or her team. I used to go there as a Scrum Master facilitating the retrospective of his or her team, and he or she used to come and facilitate the retrospective of my team. That was one aspect which we tried. But apart from that, there has to be a community of practice. This is mainly used to cross-fertilize any ideas, any good ideas around what is working in your area, what is not working in your area, how I can improve, any suggestions. So definitely you need to establish a community of practices forum, and community of practices is a forum where different Scrum Masters will come together. So all the Scrum Masters will come together, they will network similar to a photograph, what you see there, and they will try to brainstorm what's working, what's not working, what are the new things in the industry, It is also a forum for networking. If you want to present any topic in conference, this is a good opportunity for two of you to link up together and go and present a topic in conferences. So that's another activity which or definitely as a Scrum Master I encourage, because it's an activity which gives you the opportunity to learn and grow. Right, so it gives you the opportunity to learn and grow in the industry, right? And yeah, you can also conduct a lean coffee session. Lean coffee session is a session where you decide the topic through voting, through dot voting and other areas. You can go ahead and decide the topic, and then you can facilitate a lean coffee session. So that's another dimension to the role of a Scrum Master. Create a community of practices around the Scrum Master forum and cross fertilize ideas around it, right? So that's another opportunity which you have. Okay, and then of course, yeah, team building activities, right? Why not? I mean, as a Scrum Master, you have to encourage team building activities. In fact, we did a sprint review through a team building activity where actually the team, instead of having a boring PPT, they walked through a story. That was also a team building activity we did. So this was a product which was developed, and we demonstrated a product through a live customer trying to buy this product, how this screen will go through. And that was also another exercise which came out of a team building activity which is there. Okay, so that is the team building activity which I'm trying to tell here, right? Evaluate the team maturity, then basically carry out some team building activities like road shows, etc., right? Fun at work, right? Those are the team building activities what we should be doing, right? So fun at work, etc. I mean, those will definitely give us an opportunity. I mean, if you do those team building activities, those are the ones which will definitely give you an opportunity to interact with the team, and a lot of interesting ideas come out of the team building activities. You will see a lot of interesting ideas which will come out, and I mean, it will help. At the end of the day, it will help your team to bond together. Remember that model, right? Remember that model which is there, which is the Tuckman's team building model. Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning, right? So you have to basically make a collaborative team. You have to make sure that it's a collaborative team which is there, and that will be the team building activities. You can use tools like Mural, Miro, right? So those are the team building activities what we have, and the whole purpose of this is to basically engage the team. Make sure that your team is engaged, right? At the end of the day, your team needs to be engaged as a part of this, right? So those will come under your team building activity. What are there, right? So there are multiple team building activities. In fact, you can also do a virtual team building activity. So there are a lot of opportunities for us to do a virtual team building activities. As I said, fun at work, collaborative culture, Mural, Miro boards, engaging the team. So you can also use tools like Slido and all, which will help you to engage the team. Okay, so all those things will come in as a part of your team building activities which are there. Yeah, so this is also something in addition to your existing role as a Scrum Master you have to focus on. Yeah, so moving ahead, I've just tried to list around 7 to 8 pointers here which I feel are the top priority one, but this is not an exhaustive list. Okay, so the list which I'm showing you is not an exhaustive list, but I've just tried to prioritize some of the important ones and try to show you. Yes, one of the most important ones. You have to make sure that your team focuses on outcomes rather than outputs. One of the challenges we have in an agile transformation is that our teams continue to focus on output. We talk about velocity, we talk about say-do ratio, we talk about burn down chart. But what is important at the end of the day is outcomes. What are the business outcomes? What are the metrics? What are the business outcome metrics we are generating? Because of this feature being rolled out into production, how much is my revenue increased? How many customers I have added into my engagement? That is very important, right? What is the business value which is generated? And at the end of the day, what is the ROI of my transformation? What is the return of investment onto my transformation? So you have to build that culture. You have to take your team from an output measurement or an output driven exercise to an outcome driven exercise, right? So that is where you have to move your team. You have to shift the entire thinking pattern from output to an outcome driven way, right? And there's a video of this available on my YouTube channel. You can watch that video, how we can make the teams move towards a outcome based model rather than a output based model. So do watch that video if you want to know more about it. The last point which I have before I open the floor for questions is, one important thing we all need to understand is, as coaches, we are never going to be permanent in a transformation. As a scrum master or as a coach, one day will definitely come where the team has been transformed, where we are made sure that the team is self-organized, right? So one day definitely will come there. So when you're leaving, when you're exiting from the engagement, you will have to make sure that you identify the next level of coach who will take your role. So you have to also work in identifying that, okay, who will be the person who can be fitted into the role of a scrum master or an agile coach, right? Who is going to take up that role? Okay, so that's what you'll have to do. You'll have to identify the scrum master amongst the team members who will take up that role. You'll have to train and train, educate, and groom that person. You have to ask that person to shadow, right? So for some part you will be shadowing, and then this person will take over. And one fine day, what will happen is the other person will have to be transitioned into a new role, right? So those are the things. What you will have to do. Okay, so those are some of the things which you will have to do as a part of this identifying the next level of leadership. That is something which is very, very important. So what I have done here is, I have tried to give you 8 key pointers, which are in addition to that 30 hours or that so-called 30 hours, which is where the story actually started. And believe me, if you add these 8 pointers, it will be more than 80 hours. Believe me, if you try to do everything in a sprint, this would work out to be more than 80 hours. And again, the question is not about justifying. The question is about clearly articulating that, okay, this is what you are doing as a scrum master, or these are the things what you are doing as a scrum master. So I will take a pause here. As a part of this session. As I said, these are not the only items. There are many items which are there. But before I open the floor for questions, just also wanted to announce that tomorrow also we have a session at the same time. So it is by one of the industry coaches, Rashmi Fernandez, and she is going to talk about organization culture and competing values framework. So if you have not registered for this session, do register for this session. There is a QR code which is given there. You can scan that QR code. In a moment, I will also be sharing the link in the chat box, but make sure you register for that session, because only if you register for the session, you will get the invite for that session. So that's again a free session which is there for tomorrow. So if you're interested to know more about coaching, you're interested to know more about the coaching values framework, the competing coaching values framework, do register for this session for tomorrow. I'm sharing the link with you. Yeah, so this is a link which I have shared with you. So do register for this session. And now I'm opening up the floor for any questions. So feel free to type in the questions, or if you want, you can unmute yourself and you can ask a question. Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. Anyone, any questions? Feel free to ask questions. So I did see some of the questions which came up. How to identify business value. As I said, that will be a separate session by itself. It cannot be talked in 2 minutes, but business value, to put it in a very simplistic manner, is that if an organization is investing $100 in agile transformation, how much is the return they are getting? Are they really getting a value out of that transformation, or was waterfall a better approach? Okay, or was waterfall a better approach which was there, right? So that's what we have it. Okay, so if the link is not opening, you might be behind a proxy, because I did get a message from many of you that they have registered. So just check you're not behind a proxy. Okay, make sure that you're not behind a proxy. That is what I would request you, because the link is, I just checked it just now also from the same link. The link is opening up here. At least I can see the link. Okay, wait a minute. There's some problem in the link, looks like. Wait a minute. Let me share it once again. Let me share it once again. Just a minute. If there's a problem, let me check it parallelly. Yeah. Okay, let me check. Let me give you the revised link if the link is not opening. Okay, so this is the link. This is the link once again. Yeah, just try clicking it and see if you can register. Yeah, anyone else, any question meanwhile? Anyone else, any questions? As I said, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and we'll be happy to have you as a subscriber. Yeah, Nitin, go ahead. I think you have a question.
Hi, Ashutosh and Nitin here. First of all, thanks for the wonderful session, and this was very much something which was out of box. And to be frank, I never thought about this and neither came across this kind of thing. But
Okay.
I have some different experience. Okay, so if you look at today's dynamic environment where we talk about the digital transformation and other things, okay, so what is the mindset of people to adopt to this kind of speed? Where usually, if when we talk about the self-organizing team, okay, and cross-skill kind of thing, and where we doesn't want people usually coach to do that much of hand holding and or spoon feeding or whatever we call it as, okay. And one thing I learned from basically this is not related to agile, okay, from Jim Collins, okay. When you know if you are not getting the expected response from people, when you know you need to make a people change, act on it. Okay, don't spend too much of time. Set the ground rules, set the principle on ground that these are the behaviors and this is the things which we expect out of
Right.
you. Okay, and if you took, you very nicely highlighted the kind of things, but this is something that will take some time. Okay, because we all of us know how much efforts it is take. Okay, to build a team, a tough
Correct.
man model kind of thing to right from forming kind of getting into a performing kind of thing. But currently we doesn't get that kind of flexibility. So what is your experience in line with this? Because my one specific experience I would like to highlight is that, okay, one specific point you was talking about the building, okay, our own skill, enhancing and networking with other kind of things. But the real challenge I came on ground is that people are more interested, okay, in what value you put on the table. They are not
Correct.
bothered about how much efforts you put, time and efforts you put to earn that kind of thing, and then you converted that into tangible value.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, yes, that effort sheet was more like, I mean, it was coming from a traditional manager, as I said. But ultimately, yes, now once the transformation is there, right? Once the transformation has gone in live, right? I think they're more keen on more than the efforts. Okay, efforts don't matter to them. The question is very, very simple. The question is very, very simple. Tell me what is the value you have delivered. Let's not even talk about efforts. I agree with you. I mean, this was coming from a different source that, okay, where the mindset of the manager is more about the output. Again, that Excel sheet which was thrown right at me, that is more about the output rather than about the outcome. But yes, now, of course, and that's where I ended also, right? That is exactly where I ended. I said
Yes,
that
correct. So that case was unfortunate case. So we'll take
that
that
was
an
an
outlier.
unfortunate case.
Okay, how you will take that outlier outside. So my point is
Correct.
not to focus on that kind of thing.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
I'm talking about the industry trend. Okay,
Right.
we are bound to come across some odd elements. Okay, for which, okay, it's better to let them go rather than arguing and confronting them.
Correct.
This is
Correct.
the way I think.
Correct, correct, correct. Agreed, agreed. And then, yes, I mean, over a period of time, you'll have to justify, over a period of time, you'll have to justify more from an outcome perspective. I agree with you. I mean, it will be more from an outcome perspective, what you have delivered, and then people start hearing, right? Let's say a couple of releases gone down the line, and if you're just focusing on output, then again, it's a problem, right? They say, yeah, we understand you're doing all these things, what I just told you, right? For last 35, 40 minutes. But then the question will always come that, okay, tell us, can you quantify the benefits, what have come? Can you tell us what has improved, what has not improved, which are the things which still needs to be improved? So definitely, yes. I mean, ultimately, the language in which the leaders also talk will be the outcome driven language at the end of the day. That's right.
Yeah, so Ashutosh, main challenge is that in most of the scenario, this is not a billable position, and main focus of people is that just
Correct.
focus on the people who are directly contributing to delivering outcome to customers, and this is something supporting. So people mindset is that let's try and see how quickly we can get to the routine and release the person as soon
Hmm.
as that people are self organized.
True. Agreed. Agreed. I agree with you. I'm wholeheartedly. I mean, very few organizations build for an agile coach or a scrum master position, which is where they try to have a kind of a dual role, right? I mean, you could be a developer or a QA, and then you're also picking up the scrum master role. Okay. Though, again, I'm not saying that whether it is right or wrong, but definitely in the initial part of the transformation, definitely you need a kind of a person who would be playing, I mean, who may not be billable, but definitely that's an investment which an organization would need to make. I would put it in that way, that at the end of the day, it's an investment which an organization needs to make. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else with a question? Yeah. I hope, Nitin, I've answered your question.
Yes, Tush, I got your point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for
Thanks.
that. And
Thanks.
also, many thanks for coming out with altogether different topic that was enlightened to me, completely out of box.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it for that.
Yeah.
Hi,
And
Ashutosh. Anthony here.
yeah. And yeah.
I just have a very simple question. From what you explained, can we conclude that there should be one agile coach or a scrum master? When there is an agile coach, scrum master may not have to do all the things that you covered in the session, right?
Not necessarily, because even the scrum master is the coach for the team. An agile
Correct.
coach operates at a strategic level. A scrum master operates at a team. So when I was talking from a scrum master perspective. Because one day the scrum master will go into the level of an agile coach, right? You cannot remain a scrum master for your entire life. This question was also thrown to me when I was playing the role of a scrum master, not as an agile coach, which is where this response came up.
Okay, so your opinion is that even when there is an agile coach, a scrum master can do all these things, and the agile
Absolutely.
coach will have other responsibilities.
Yeah, I mean, wait for my session on what does an agile coach does in a day, or what does an agile coach does in a sprint. If you want, wait for that session. Definitely, I'll talk about those things.
All right. Okay. I'll wait for the session to understand the different role or different
Hmm.
tasks that an agile coach does from whatever you explained today. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. It was a nice session, and it was an eye opener about many practices Scrum Master can take up. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yeah. Yeah. Thiru, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Ashutosh. I've been one of the regular member to take part in all your sessions. So my question is pretty basic. I come from a QA background, and in case if I would like to move for a Scrum Master role, so what are the prerequisites that one would look for to qualify for a Scrum Master role?
See, first of all, I don't know where this misconception has been created that QA folks cannot become a Scrum Master or an Agile coach. Okay, and I get this question in every, I would say, webinar. So let me tell you my background. I worked as a I worked as a tester. I worked as a test lead. I worked as for some time as an automation test engineer, then worked as a test manager. Okay, and then I shifted gears and moved into the Scrum Master and an Agile coach role. Okay, so that is my background. Okay, just to set the record straight that it is possible. Okay, so how do you move, right? I mean, obviously, you have to pick up the role of a scrum master, right? I mean, you have to show that inclination, or that I would say that desire to pick up that role of a scrum master. Now, obviously, no one is going to give you that scrum master role from day one. There are opportunities you have to display, whether it's a sprint planning event, or whether it's a daily scrum, or whether it's a demo. Definitely you have to take your own initiative. You have to lead that initiative, and then put yourself into that shoes. And obviously people will start noticing you. People will start noticing you that yes, you are displaying those attributes or the qualities of a Scrum Master. So if you look at it, there's a video which I've shot. I think it was again an event like this. Good to a great Scrum Master. I would request you to watch that video, which talks about the attributes of a Scrum Master, what the Scrum Master should be doing, what the Scrum Master should not be doing. But yeah, to cut the long story short, it is about showing the right intent. It is showing about a learning ability, and some part of what came out in this video also, like researching, reading a lot,
Right.
convincing the person that yes, why you cannot be put into the role of a Scrum Master. I would put it in that way.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashutosh. That is informative. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we are almost at the end of the session. Yeah, so feel free to connect with me. Feel free to connect with me if you have some more questions. Okay, if you have some more questions or more queries, you can connect with me one-on-one. I'm once again sharing my number. This is my WhatsApp number. You can connect with me on one-on-one. If you are interested to join our LinkedIn group, please connect on that. We have a LinkedIn group, and our YouTube channel is also there, where there are more than 75 plus videos which are there. So do join these forums and learn. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure many of you will have registered also for tomorrow's session. So do join us for tomorrow's session with Rashmi. So thanks a lot. And on that note, I will close this session. Have a great evening ahead and take care of your health. Yeah, bye for now, and have a great evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise. Good night.